What's going on, everybody? Christian Hernandez here with SVG. Another episode over in the W series. We're going to head over to Dallas, and we're going to be speaking with Caitlin Hartlet. She is the director of game presentation and live events for the Dallas Wings. Caitlin, how are you doing? How's the season so far? And how's life been in Dallas?
Hi. Yes, thank you, Christian. Thank you so much for having me. Life is good, busy, so different, obviously, for so many different reasons. But I mean, it's just been fun and really fulfilling to be running games again. Definitely missed out on that last season. So I just remember like after the first game this season, like it was different and weird, but I still just felt like this sense of like a fulfillment because that's like what I love to do. And so that's been really nice to have back.
It's been a common core throughout these all interviews, not even just the WNBA, all the leagues, about how happy they are about fans being back. It's the reason why you guys do what you do, and they provide the juice, you can say, to kind of make sure that the game is as exciting and as passionate as it can be. So this interview will mostly be about what you guys do in venue at your home arena. But one question I want to ask before we get started: how did you guys prepare for this season? There was a lot of things that were unknown coming off the Wubble season. How did you guys prepare? Were there dress rehearsals? How do you prepare for something that's never kind of been done before?
Yeah, that's a great question. So prior to the season, I kind of did a bunch of scenario planning. So we scenario planned if we were at no fans, scenario planned if we were at 30% capacity, 50%, and so on. And so we had like a bunch of different plans in place, depending on what was going to be permitted by the league. So that was interesting because the no fans was obviously the saddest version, but like you have to be ready for it. And you have to know like, hey, we're still going to be putting on games for these players. So what are we going to be doing? So stuff like that. And then in those plans, you have like safety protocols, like, are we going to be doing temperature checks? Are we going to be like stuff that I've never had to literally worry about before? So I was like reaching out to other sports teams, not even in the WNBA, but in college athletics or other professional sports leagues, and just figuring out what they're doing, what has been working, and then just trying to figure out, how am I going to keep fans entertained without being able to do a lot of the stuff that I normally would be doing? And so there was a lot of planning involved, sitting down, knowing that giveaways probably wouldn't be a thing for a while, knowing that, having an in-game host like on the court doing games wouldn't be a thing. So just figuring out what that looked like. And then also, just understanding like what my needs were going to be. Like, obviously you don't need a full-fledged promo team when we can't have on-court promotion. So just understanding all of those different scenarios. And then in terms of a run through, yes, we did. So we had a preseason game in early May that wasn't open to fans, and kind of got added onto the schedule at the very last second, which I was like at first like stressed about because I was like, oh no, I wasn't ready for this. But at the same time, it was like the perfect rehearsal. Like we hired all like the production crew, we had our in-game host there, our DJ there. I just wanted to do and it was like a real game because it was a preseason game, but with no fans. And for me, that was perfect because this was my first ever game in our arena, because last year was my first year, but I mean, we obviously weren't here. And so I had never even run a WNBA game before. So I was like, I need like a little test run. So we got to do that, and that was extremely helpful.
Okay. So now fast forward to the first game at College Park Center. You got, like you mentioned, you guys are back. Fans, were they there at what was the capacity for that first game, and what ended up making it out of the cutting room floor? So what are you guys playing for fans that are inside the seats? And tell me what a typical game day is like in Dallas.
Yeah. So the first game was so strange because I felt like it was just very empty in there, but like the fact that there weren't any fans was still extremely exciting. And I was still like, you have those jitters, like excitement, because even though it's small, there's still people watching. And so that was interesting. And then for the WNBA, we had this, I think for the NBA as well, we had this huge halo around the court. So you couldn't have fans within like 30 feet of the court. And so even though there were fans that were like so far away, so that was interesting. But I mean, it was really cool because I don't know, it was a challenge and something I don't think I'll ever have to do again, but it was fun to get creative. Right. So we would do like a video board, like game that was called the high five cam. So you can't obviously touch because of COVID. So we'd have a split screen and 2 cameras trying to find fans in the crowd. And they would like do like a socially distant high five. So like fill the theme with like a fan cam, but also it's like COVID friendly, like we're high fiving each other from far away. So we would do stuff like that. We did a game with our players where there would be a contestant. And so the player would go first. We would have a pre-recorded video of the player naming as many things in a category in 10 seconds as possible. So like say their category was vegetables, and they'd have to name as many vegetables in 10 seconds. And then the fan would go. And so whoever named as many more would win. So even though it was like just a 1-person promotion, since we can't do like, multiple people, it was still cool because the player was the one going up against the contestant. And so we would just try to find different ways to like, one, show off the players' personalities because they weren't getting to interact with the fans anymore. But 2, is try to find things where fans can still get entertained, even though we can't do like, shooting contests or other things like that. So it was very interesting and we had some fun with it. And then it was also, we had to get very creative with sponsored elements because, sponsorship would have like certain things that were normally tied, to their brand that we had to really pivot. So like we have a Moneyball promotion for one of our sponsors where it's like a shooting contest and every shot they make money. Can't do that. And they wanted to still do something similar. So we would pick season ticket holders, go pre-record it in advance, show it on the board, and then just be like, hey, thank you so much. Like earlier this week, we got to, have blah, blah, blah out, and they were able to make this many shots and make this much money. And so it's still not as entertaining as like a live contest with like the fans getting into it. But, we just had to be creative for those, required sponsored activations.
So the pre-recorded stuff, you obviously, you mentioned sponsorship. I'm sure you guys got new players. So this is when you're talking about the contest with the players, those players that they haven't seen last year because they're in the Wubble. So now they have to learn these new personalities and stuff like that. So that was a good idea. I'm not going to ask you to name how many vegetables you can name in 10 seconds, but I will ask you this next question. You did mention how this is your second season with the Wings. The first season happened in the Wubble, but this is the first time you're inside of your control room, kind of, pressing the buttons and figuring out a show. You spent a lot of time at the college ranks at Stanford and other areas. How is it? Let me just ask you on a personal level, how has it been like working your first set of home games, and how is life in the WNBA for you so far?
It's been good. It's been, I know the theme has been like, it's been weird, but it's been strange because I actually, shockingly enough, have yet to be in the control room. So that means like, I make the scripts, I create the graphics, I create the run of show, but like our venue is not, we don't own our venue. We are on the campus of UT Arlington. And so they hire their own staff and everything. And they had their own protocols that we had to follow. And there were only a certain number of people allowed in the control room, for like social distancing purposes. So I would like, drop off the scripts. Then later I would come back, I would get on headset and I would do the whole run through from my little area courtside. So they gave me a monitor, they gave me a headset, and I would still see things, and we would test things and run through things. And I would talk to everybody via headset, but like, I have yet to meet my director in person, which is so funny. Like I know their voice so well, but they're like a man in the box. Like I don't even know what they look like because every game I just get there. They already have the scripts because I dropped them off before. And then we sit there before the doors open and we run through everything. We make sure everyone's on the same page, same thing with the camera crew, all that stuff. And so it's been so interesting because I've literally yet to be inside the control room. When at Stanford, I was there. Like that's where we would do our run throughs. That's where we would figure everything out and run and meet everybody and do our pregame, like pre-show meetings and stuff like that. So like, it's just been like court, office. And so I'm just like, one day I'll see the inner workings of this whole place. I guess just not right now.
Exactly. You're longing for it. I promise you, I don't know when, but things will get better to the point where you can get inside the control room. And funny segue. Shout out to the team members, especially those people that you haven't met yet, but you've talked to every day. Who do you want to give shout outs to, or kind of in general, how proud you are of your staff for just getting the job done every night?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. So obviously the UT Arlington staff at College Park Center, which is where we play, have been phenomenal. They've been so flexible. That we all have to be right now, but like, especially like the person when his name is Dakota, and he's like kind of like my main guru in terms of like loading content and stuff like that. I'm always like, oh, I just thought of this last second thing that would be cool if we added. And normally I try to, load everything well in advance, but he's been so understanding. He's like, it's a weird year. He's like, I get it. And he's just been flexible. Caleb at College Park Center has been great. Pretty much the entire College Park Center production crew. They're so nice. And I'm new. So they're not new. Most of them have been there. I've been working there. Right. And so having to explain things to me like over and over again, and then having to work around all the COVID stuff while teaching me is probably no easy feat. And then my boss, Courtney, who's the VP of marketing and communications here. So she is also new. She's newer than me. And so she's been trying to navigate all of this with me as well. And events and game presentation is not in her title, nor is it her expertise. And yet she has just tried to learn and like been on like down at the table with me courtside, like, how can I help? What do you need me to do? Like the other day I had a contest. It was our first on-court contest, but I'm still not allowed to have my promo team on there. But we found a contestant who was vaccinated, so they were allowed to be on the court. And so my boss, who has no experience in on-court activations, she was out there with the basketballs, walking in her high heels, like helping me activate this thing because I was stuck at the table on headset. So she's been amazing. Honestly, there's just so many people. Our in-game host, Shonda, who just rolls with the punches. Things just have been all out of whack, and she still manages to keep people engaged and excited, gets the crowd pumped up. Even when it's a crowd of 500 people, she's still let's do this. And I'm just yes. Yeah. So there's so many people though. I mean, it's been really awesome to be a part of a team that is just okay, I guess this is our new hurdle to jump over. And especially when I'm so new and this is my first season actually doing WNBA games. So it's been great. We've all been working through it together. And even if when it's been a rough day, we're all just in the trenches together, well, that was a day.
That was rough, right? Awesome. Terrific. Caitlin, I'm happy that you're having fun. Actually, you're somewhat full experience in the WNBA. Next year will be a whole new thing, and I'm sure it'll be very exciting. But sounds like you have a great team down there in Dallas. Keep up the great work despite all the things that are kind of you're juggling all at once. Thanks for taking the time. Good luck the rest of the season, and hopefully I can head out to Dallas and say hi in person at a game.
Yes, please do. And thank you so much again for having me. It's been great chatting.